Welcome to yet another topic in finances. Educational inflation in India explained. So, without any fear mongering, I will be taking you through the reality of what is actually in educational inflation and how can we get through this inflation planning smartly. So, let me tell you one story. As I said, Ramesh started earning at the year 2000 and he just thought that by investing rupees 2000 every month, he can achieve his child's education in a very decent way. So at 2015, running, uh, going ahead another 15 years, at 2015, when his child was ready for her college education, the education cost was more than what he expected. So is it that he didn't plan well? No. Actually, the cost has increased and what he saved was not sufficient for meeting her educational expenses. Now let me show you how this is possible by planning our finances smartly. So most of the parents they feel pressurized seeing the educational cost. But the reality is not what we think. Actually, the education is not unaffordable. It is affordable if we have planning in place and to the real value of the cost. Let me explain you how this is possible. So let me show you the reality. And in the year 2005, you could give a primary education to your child with 25,000 per year. But the same education right now costs 1.5 lakhs. So it has increased by 8 times the cost then. So this is the same story when we consider the college education. College education was then just 3 lakhs per year, but right now it is going to cost you 15 lakhs. So the educational cost is increasing. That means the inflation is increasing. This is what the parents think. And now let us understand what actually means by inflation. In India, the educational inflation is about 8 to 12 percentage per year, but the general inflation is only 5 to 7 to 10 percentage. So the educational cost is raising more than the normal cost. Now, why is it so? This is what we need to understand, and we need to be smart enough to beat this inflation. So, this is what my goal is to make you understand what reality is and how do we achieve it by planning it in a smarter way. So, the educational cost, as I told, what is 20 lakhs current estimate, 10 lakhs current estimated cost for your child's higher education will become after 7 years 20 lakhs, and after 14 years it is going to become 40 lakhs because the educational cost is going to double every 7 years. So how we need to plan is we need to consider this inflation in the cost of education while we plan our finances for our child's education. So why does this feel so scary to the parents? Because of the headlines in the newspaper or in the TV saying 1 crore rupees is not enough to educate your child in the current era. Fear-based messaging everywhere. The cost is going to increase if you don't recruit your child now. If you delay it by next 1 more year, you are going to have the cost to be increased by 10%. If you see, the most common message that I can easily relate to is the message from school telling that if you pay the fees as a whole at the start of the year, I will give you this much percentage discount. So all these things make the parent scary. This is actually the lack of clarity in them. What is actually, why is this cost increasing and how do we achieve it? Planning very smartly. So how do we achieve this educational cost? First thing is inflation is predictable. So we know that the education cost is rising at the rate of 10 to 12 percentage every year. So we have to plan our investment to achieve this inflation or beat this inflation. So inflation is predictable, so planning is actionable. Now, what we need to do when we are planning our child's education, we need to always consider this inflation rate to be 10 percentage every year. And then we need to plan how we can achieve this at that rate with our investments. Time is really a factor that affect this planning a lot. So, if we plan our child's education as early as possible, then our goal is easily achievable in a very smooth manner. That is because we need to plan early and leave the concept of compounding to act on it. So, let me first make you understand what is the reason of this high inflation in the educational field. This is nothing but raising demand. That is, in the current scenario, the population is rising in an exponential way. So is the middle class population also expanding. That means we have our middle class population to be very high, and all these people have high aspirations towards the education. They all want quality education for their children and at the best possible rate. So, and the environment becomes very competitive, and all of them wants to play this game of competitiveness. So, this is some of the reasons why the educational inflation is rising at this rate. And the second reason is earlier the shift to the private institutions. That means earlier, when around 10 to 20, 30 years back, we all just got educated in a government school where the fees was low and we had limited infrastructure. But that doesn't mean that our education was not at par. Our education was at par, and we had very good education at that low infrastructure and low fees. But right now, every parent want world-class education for their children and with modern facilities, English as the medium of instruction. So that makes the fees more higher. And the next thing is the global exposures and aspirations. So children always, or the parents always want, nowadays all the parents want their children to be educated in a international institution or international university. They want premium courses, their children to learn the premium courses. And right now, where there are variety of courses where children can opt for. And also, there is a lot of globalization in the educational field. All this also adds to the cost of education. Then lifestyle. There is a huge change in the lifestyle of the people. So when parents want their child to go for global education or international education, then preparation is the first thing. So when it comes to preparation, parents opt for some coaching classes because competition is so high in this world that we need to prepare our children to face this competition. So this coaching and the test preparation all are also in a very higher mode. That is, they are all very competitive because, and there are various coaching classes coming up day in and day out, and the student as well as the parents are really confused on what to choose, which will give their children the best possible education. And the technology, the rise in technology, and if the child wants the exposure to those kind of technology, they need to have some extra coaching or extra classes for that. And again, extracurricular exposure to the students also adds to this lifestyle changes. So when all these things are added up, the educational cost also raises. Next is the parental mindset. See, all the parents, including me, I want my children to have the best of the possible education under the sun. And this creates an emotional spending from the parent side. So right now the parents are ready to spend to put their child in various coaching classes and other things so that their child becomes up to the mark in the educational field. But this increases the cost of education unnecessarily. Now, let me give you a reality check over here. Is educational inflation a reality? No, actually, it is just the result of raising aspirations. When the aspirations are more, to achieve this aspiration, we need to give that cost to stay at par in this world. So, educational inflation is not a crisis, it is just the increase in the aspirations. So, how do we achieve educational goals based on these aspirations of parents and children? So how do we achieve this is we need to always estimate the future cost. So for that we need to know that inflation is at 10 percentage and money doubles every 7 to 8 years. So with this in mind, let me show you how we can plan the finances in such a way that we can achieve the future cost of children's education in a very smooth manner. So there I have divided this into 6 different steps to make you achieve your child's goal in a very smooth way. First and foremost thing is like we should estimate the future cost. So right now, if the cost of education or we need to choose where the child wants to study, whether in India or abroad. And when is the child going to be ready for this education? 10 years from now, 15 years from now, and so on. So we know what is the education child want, we know the time frame to achieve that goal, and then we need to know what is the course they want to opt for. So based on that, we need to calculate the future cost of education, knowing the current cost as the base. Once we know the cost, the second step is start early. That means we need to start our investing for this goal at a very early stage because time helps us to compound this money. So sooner you start, you need to invest very small amount to achieve the goal at that particular time. Next is use SIP as a tool for this investment because SIP helps you to save re- regular amounts at regular intervals of time. That is, you need to save the same amount every month consistently so that you reach this goal in a very smooth way. Choose right investment method. That is, don't rely on the FDs or insurances. You need to have the exposure to equities, hybrid funds, and other equity funds to achieve the goal in the fast manner. Just by relying on FDs and the insurance plan is not going to suffice to support your child's education. Now, avoid overestimation. This is the very crucial thing that we need to think about. We are not supposed to blindly assume that my child's education is going to cost 1 crore rupees or 2 crore rupees. For that, we need to first know what is the aspiration of the child and what is the cost of that at current rate. And then we need to add the inflation and then reach the future amount that we need to require to plan for. So this will again reduce your tension by a greater extent. Next is building the flexibility. That is, you are not the only source of income in the family. So if your spouse is also earning, then like let allow her also to share him or her to share half your burden towards child's education, and use educational loans that are easily available, but not totally, but to a certain extent, and allow your child also to bear her or his educational cost in the future. So this is how you need not be the single shoulder to support your child's education. You have a wide variety of tools available right now, and we have to smartly choose which is right based on the child's aspiration. We need to be flexible enough in the choice of instruments. So, what I want to say is like now, if we start planning our child's education as early as possible, it is very much easy to achieve it. So, we need not fear the educational inflation, but we need to plan it very smartly. So, if you are in a state of confusion to plan your child's education, then just connect with me so that I can understand where you stand right now and then help you plan to achieve your child's education in a very smooth manner, keeping all your current resources intact. So I think this video is helpful to you parents who are right now in a position to think about your child's education. Now, as fast you plan, it is very easy to achieve and very what to say, and there is a smarter method to achieve this goal. If you feel this video is helpful to you, kindly subscribe for more such videos on finances. If you feel some of your friends require this kind of help, feel free to share this with them and also support me towards achieving the your friend's goal also. So this is something I think it was useful for you. Stay tuned for some more helpful videos in the field of finances. Thank you for now.